I don't know who I'm talking to, but hopefully I'm speaking to Amy. Um, I want to speak on Mustafa's character and his whole being. Mustafa, I've been with Mustafa for 5 years, and we probably we spent most of that year almost every day. Um, Mustafa is one of the most. Mustafa is an angel because the only reason I stayed with him so long because never in my life I've seen a more kind, generous person than him. He would just walk up to people on the street that had nothing, and he would make sure that they eat. So if I'm talking to Amy, I'm not too familiar with the I'm I know the laws, but I'm not too great with the loyal laws of term of law. Mustafa is one of the kindest, most generous human beings that anyone will meet, because I have never ever met anyone as kind and as generous to him. Not only to me, his girl of 5 years, um, and his family, to random strangers. He wanted to heal people. That was his whole. That was his. That's what made his life meaningful. If he can heal someone, if he can heal them physically, mentally, financially, because he had a medical therapy company. Now, Amy, I want to ask you one thing here. I saw a picture of Mustafa from October. Why does he look disfigured? He looks absolutely disfigured. He doesn't look like the person that I saw a few months ago. What did they do to him in the jail? He looks disfigured. He looks twice the size of him. What have they done to him in that jail? What kind of people work in that fucking jail? Who is getting paid to work in that jail? Mustafa has never hit me or abused me. Mustafa, for all these 5 years, he wanted to make sure that I had everything. I had everything. Not only me, his family, and every other stranger that we would meet. Every day he would try to help a random stranger with whatever they needed. The charges between him and I in I don't know what it was, February or no, it was January, February. The police pretty much all I want. Me and Mustafa, we've been together for 5 years. We would get into verbal fights. We would part ways, and then during the 5 years that we've been together, we parted 4 times for like a month each, to just spend time with our families more, and focus on other things that we personally wanted to focus, because we had a medical therapy business. We sold therapeutic items to people in pain. That's how we survived. So those charges of whatever charges they put on him, they forced me to put the officers were pretty much pressuring me to put a protective order on Mustafa. All I wanted is Mustafa all I wanted to know is that Mustafa is okay, because I was worried that he was away from me, but we had to part ways because our verbal disagreements were continuing, because we couldn't pay rent because we were out of products at the time. So we had some issues to pay rent. and utilities. That's why we parted ways, because at the time we didn't have enough products to sell, so we can make enough money to pay bills. So I was pressured to put a protective order. I never wanted to put a protective order on him. He's not that kind of person. He's a jolly man. He loves to to talk to people, to help them. So I don't understand why that charge stuck on him. Uh, because I was forced to. They were like, "Oh, you want to put a protective order? You want?" I just wanted to be left alone, like by everyone, including the police officers. And what other charge he has? Assault by a mob. Um, One of the police cops came to their residence, wanting to take one of their vehicles that they had a title to, and from there it started. Everything started. The guy that wanted to tow Mustafa's car, he wouldn't even let him go in the house, bring him a title so he doesn't tow it. And then he brings an army of officers to his home, and pees on the toilet seats, um, telling his whole family to get out. And then they took over this home looking for God knows what. This family is hardworking. They fix cars to earn a living, and Mustafa sold the medical equipment. That's how they earned their livelihood. Those police officers entered their home and destroyed their video system, and peed on the toilet seats, left cigarette butts, destroyed their home. And then they Mustafa sued them, and people were fired, the ones that entered his home and destroyed his home. So that is the assault by a mob charge. Mustafa is you probably will never ever meet a more generous, kind um, person, because he is the kind of person, if he sees someone in need and he has $5 on his person, he will give that last money to that person, and then he'll be like, I'll work and I'll sell some more products and I'll make it again. Amy, Mustafa looked disfigured in his hearing. In the picture from his hearing, why does he look disfigured? Why, since why does he look disfigured? He looks double the size of the man I knew a few months ago. Why did they beat him so bad that they almost killed him? That picture of at his hearing is months later, like 5-6 months later. He still looks disfigured. Those police officers tried to kill him in your facility. Try to kill a person that is more generous than anybody I know, anybody you know. You have never met a more generous, kind person like Mustafa. If you were walking on the street and needing anything, he would approach you and he'd ask you, what do you need? Without thinking that he may need something. So I want to ask you, Amy, why does he look disfigured 6 months after that hearing? Who beat him so bad that after 6 months he still looks disfigured? He doesn't look the same person that I met, that I last saw in February. Not even killers in jails were beat like him. He looks disfigured. He's a 33-year-old young man. He's a young person. Amy, I want you to look at Mustafa's case and and release him, because I think he has internal bleeding still. Because the picture I saw of him, he's he's unrecognizable. He's double the size. Like, I knew him like this, and now he's like this. He's double the size of a human. Um, Amy, look at his case, because you are charging a man that would would save your life if you needed saving. So those charges in February are bogus. I was forced into I didn't want no protective order. We were fine, but they were pressuring me. Oh, you want a protective order? I was like, I was calm and safe in my house. Like, I didn't need anything else. Me and Mustafa parted many times. Like I said, at, at least 3 4 times in the past for a little while, due to verbal disagreements, due to and not being able to pay bills and stuff like that. Um, you have you have officers that are murderers in that place, and Mustafa is not a murderer. During the 5 years that we were together, every time that he drove I would let him drive, because I felt safer with him to drive. He's one of the most attentive. He's one of the most law-fearing uh, people that I've ever met, and I haven't. That is the only reason I stuck with Mustafa for so many years, because I would watch him from afar. The good deeds, just because we would sell the items. I would see how much he cared to address a person's pain, and I just stuck beside him because, yeah, money is important to have, because we needed to pay bills and we needed to buy food, but his generosity just kept me his spectator all these years that we were together. So again, just imagine Amy, if one of your children is in jail, and officers are beating him to the point that you don't recognize your child. Like, your child is the double the size, like he looks disfigured. Just imagine one of your children being beat like this. And I know you have good children. I know you have obedient and good children. I'm certain of that. Please look at Mustafa's case and release him, because I am certain the way he looked disfigured, because I saw him last in February, and I just saw a picture just now. I saw a picture of him at the hearing in October. He looks disfigured 6 months, 6 months after the fact. Amy, um, please please take care of this case, and release Mustafa, because he's not dangerous. He had an accident, and he almost died in the accident, and people lost lives, but it was an accident. He didn't, like I said, during the 5 years that we were together, I would let him drive, because he was the better driver. And I don't understand what kind of people are working in that jail. Not even murderers do they disfigure like this. Mustafa right now has, I am 100% sure, the way he looked disfigured, he has internal bleeding. He is gonna he will die in that jail because of your officers that work there. Mustafa would take care of you if he saw you needing help. He would leave me and go to you and ask you what do you need, so you would be okay. if you need anything. Please address this because Mustafa is dying. He uh, he looks disfigured. 6 months after the 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 beating he got in his cell. Your officers beat him with intent to kill. He's not dead, but he's bleeding inside. And by the way, Mustafa doesn't never wore glasses. In the at the hearing, he wore glasses. Mustafa never wore glasses. I've known him for 10 years and we've dated for 5. He never wore glasses. Your officers beat him so bad that he lost his eyesight. Just imagine one of your children being beat like that they lose their eyesight. Mustafa doesn't deserve to be there. Mustafa didn't deserve that beating because Mustafa has never been a reckless driver. Mustafa, by the way, Mustafa during all these 5 years, he would tell me, "Hey, life is worth living." Because I would tell him, "Hey, I'm upset, I'm depressed, man. What is this life to live for? Paying bills, like what is this?" He would tell me, "No, Christina, this life is beautiful, and I know you love life." And he would always remind me, "Hey, life is beautiful." And he would convince me, "Hey, life is beautiful, and you want to live it." That would that accident, since he's the driver, that would entail that he's suicidal. Mustafa is Mustafa would tell others, "Hey, life is worth living. Don't do anything stupid." He would never ever put himself or anyone around him in harm's way. Never. Because he nothing would make him happier to see someone sad, suffering, or in need, in reverse, like happy with food or whatever they needed. Amy, please um, look at Mustafa's case. Please do your job. Please hold. Please send Mustafa a doctor because he's dying. If 6 months later he still looks double his size, something must be wrong with his internal organs. Please address his medical issues and fire your correctional officers because they beat a man that got into an accident that he almost died in. He wanted to marry that girl. He was excited to take care of her 6 children. What man would entangle? Few men would entangle, especially of his age. He's 33. Few men would entangle themselves with a woman that has 6 children. But he loved Dorothy. And he loved those kids, and he was making all kinds of plans to make sure that those kids are safe. When Mustafa met Dorothy, she was living in a Motel 6. I don't know, but she was homeless. Mustafa found Dorothy a home for her and her 6 children that are not his. No, very few men would get entangled, would agree to be with a woman with 6 children that are not his. But he was like, you know what? I wanna make this. I wanna help this woman. I wanna make her whole. I wanna find her a place to live because she was in a Motel 6 with 6 children, with 4 children, because 2 of them are bigger and they moved. They're not with her. I think 4 kids. No man, especially of his age, would want to be with a woman that has 6 other children by other men. But Mustafa is that kind of person. He will take Um, he will take only people in need because he enjoyed helping people and making them whole. So when he leaves there, they're happy. They have a home, they have food to eat, and they want to live this life. Um, and there's so much proof that I don't know what they're saying about him being abusive towards the children, because the day of the accident, there's a home video where those kids were hugging him, and they were so happy to have a father. They were so happy to be around him. They were playing, and he seemed like he was, a child among them. He was so happy to be with those kids and with Dorothy. And Dorothy seemed so happy because she finally had a home for her and her children. Please, Amy, look at this case, because Mustafa is gonna die in that jail, and your correctional officers are murderers, because Mustafa is an angel of a person. Nobody is more generous than Mustafa. Mustafa will take his last dime to help somebody else. Will take his clothing off himself to help somebody else. Amy, please look at Mustafa's case. Please send medical help to him, please, because he looks unrecognizable, and I fear that his organs are damaged. He may be bleeding inside right now. Please, Amy, address Mustafa's case immediately, because you have an angel of a man inside the jail that needs immediate medical assistance. Immediate medical assistance. Please, please address this immediately, because he will die, and he will be a person that doesn't deserve to die, because he helped so many people. Nobody. I've been walking around. I've been free to drive to. I've been living my life. I have never met a more generous person like Mustafa. People are selfish. People are cruel. People don't want to give you anything for free, even if you tell them that you're not well. But Mustafa, if you tell him that you're not well, he will make sure he will help you. Even if he doesn't have something, he will make sure he'll find a way. He'll ask someone else. Mustafa took because Dorothy had diabetes, and she also had cancer. I'm assuming from all the she was a young mom, and she kept having children, and I'm assuming she developed Dorothy was sick. Dorothy was in a lot of pain constantly. So in that video where Dorothy is crying, the day of the accident, Dorothy is in constant pain. So she cries while Mustafa went inside 7-Eleven to buy some food for them, some snacks. Dorothy was very sick. Because the reason I know she was very sick is because he took the diabetic testing stuff from his mom to her. He took items from his family home to help Dorothy. like items that they use every day to keep their house maintained. He took those items to his to Dorothy's house. You're keeping an innocent man in jail, Amy. The most generous human being that you will ever meet. Please send medical assistance because I feel like he's dying. Because the picture I saw of him, he looks double the size. He doesn't look like the man I saw in February. He looks double the size. Somebody that endures such a beating should have been dead, because he's not supposed to be double the size of a man 6 months later after the beating. Somebody in the jail beat him until he died, and I know he died because he opened his eyes again and they were still beating him because he passed out. He passed out during the beating. And he wears glasses, and he wore glasses in court. Amy, Mustafa never wore glasses. Mustafa lost his eyesight. What? Mustafa lost his eyesight in 6 months? Your officers almost killed Mustafa. A man that never hurt me, that never would hurt anyone. A man that got into an accident and almost died himself. You're keeping an innocent man in there, and your correctional officers almost killed him. Why are you beating? Why do you have people like that in there that can beat someone to death? Mustafa never wore glasses. Why? I don't understand why at the hearing he's wearing glasses. His vision was perfect. Amy, please address this. Immediately, please address it. Because Mustafa is dying from the beating he endured in May. Please address it. I beg you. Please do your job. Please do your job, and you said that you were tough on crime. Please address Mustafa's case, please. And please send a doctor, because I think he's dying. He looked double his size. 6 months later after the beating, he is unrecognizable. Please send a doctor to him, please.